In 2022, 87% of all VC funding in Europe was raised by male-only founding teams. My name is Amelia Suda. I am the co-CEO of Female Founders, Europe's largest community of entrepreneurs. This is women that have an entrepreneurial mindset. We help women-led startups to become investment ready, looking to raise their first institutional round. And we consult specifically on diversity, equity, and inclusion to make sure that companies are having a diverse team that is inclusive in the way that they act and behave towards each other. In 2022, 87% of all VC funding in Europe was raised by male-only founding teams. Just female teams is roughly 1%. From 2018 until 2022, that percentage has actually dropped from 3% to 1%. And women of color, even worse, their percentage of overall funds that they receive is under 1%. Look at the entire ecosystem. Who are the people actually writing those checks? The amount of women that are writing checks, those proportion of deals have stayed around 5 to 6%. That's something that has to change in the venture capital area. There has to be also more women involved. We all have bias. Funding can be looked at as kind of a networking game. Many women can be excluded from these male-dominated networks, and funding a lot of times is network-based and about trust. There has to be a lot more work there to open up networks. The venture capital world, things start to change in terms of having more women, for example, at partner level, having diverse teams that are looking at the deal flow that they're getting. Go beyond the current networks, especially within the hiring process. We actually had a client in the past that said, we post most of our jobs in X, insert a university name here. People don't think that this is excluding someone else. If, these jobs in this field are only being placed in these certain areas, then you're not going to bring in the different perspectives. Making sure those people that are hired are involved in the decision-making process for funding. We allow for female founders, but also male founders to get to know each other, to network, to see, hey, have you worked with this investor? Can you get me an intro? Because those warm intros are also very important in this space and about getting funding as well. Budgets are starting to be constricted. And I think this is even more so that you need diverse perspectives and you need a team that's going to be inclusive, that you hear everyone's voice. Being a co-CEO myself, you don't have all the answers, but I can include my team in all different perspectives to brainstorm what are different solutions that we can try. Teams that are made up of not only women, not only men, they're gender diverse, they have a diverse founding team, have actually been more resilient. They, in terms of funding, haven't declined as much as, for example, men-only teams or women-only teams. Understand your own bias. There's a nice test, the Harvard implicit bias test, that's free. Something that came up was, I'm fluent in English and I'm in an environment where not everyone grew up speaking English. And to get an understanding of, hey, if someone's stumbling through their words in an interview, that's totally fine. That doesn't mean that they don't have competencies in X, Y, and Z areas. There's so many inclusive language tools that you can use that help you correct the way that you're writing things in Slack, in emails, and that gives you immediate feedback. Always look as a team leader in terms of how can I make this meeting more inclusive? There's now certain tools that you can use, for example, on Google Meets or in certain videos that show who own the mic or who speaks the most to give you a little bit of data and feedback. What is the company right now? What are the type of people that are in our organization? What are the backgrounds that we have? Who's at the top? When we're having jobs, what type of people are applying for them and why this is going to give you a sense of where do we have to focus? Who owns the decision-making power for us to, let's just say, do a training, to implement a new structure? And you can understand what exactly are the problems here. For example, for us as female founders, we're always looking to make sure that our team's very diverse. How can we attract more people that have different backgrounds? For another organization, it might be we don't have a diverse senior leadership team. And so maybe that's educating the employees that we have with mentoring programs, sponsorships, etc. How much actually does it cost when you lose an employee because they didn't feel like they belong? They didn't feel like their voice was heard. Business success comes down to the people. You want to make sure that your people are happy, they feel like they belong, they feel like their opinions are heard. I look at diversity, equity, inclusion as it's about everyone's experience. There's a lot of systematic process work to do to understand all the individuals' backgrounds. It's about making sure that everyone feels like they have a voice and that they understand why this work is important.